one. Usually they're like made to order. You completely choose your own paint colors. So you can choose from their colors, but at this point they have over 45,000 different color options. Because over the years, people will like you can bring in like your iPhone.
Hold on.
Yeah,
you just glazed over that a little too quick. There's
45,000?
45,000 paint colors. There are that many colors, believe it or not. So I'll give you an example of a few. I was listening to one of their designers talk about it. They had a lady who brought in like her favorite lipstick color, and they perfectly matched it to that to paint her entire car. There was another person who wanted like this exquisite, I guess it'd be the best word, like shimmer to the car.
Okay.
So they brought a bag of diamonds in and they ground those into powder and put it in the paint and made like I was like, you can do that without $100,000 in diamonds, but that's whole part of the whole thing, you know. Like,
so
it's part of the whole Rolls Royce thing. So they'll
just like custom paint it, no matter like whatever anything you want. Interesting. So that's the cheating way of being hey, every car it's a rare color option. That you won't see one like this before. Rare,
right?
Oh yeah.
Well, so that's the thing. So it's your color then.
Yeah.
So if somebody else sees your car and goes to order one, Rolls-Royce has to get your permission for them to use your color.
I love it. That's cool.
You
own that color. So it's super
approved.
Like in the whole lines of like exclusivity and like, so you could literally go create a color as wild as you want it to be and be like, nobody else can use that color. That's my color. You make it your license plate, like the color code and stuff. So super cool.
Awesome.
And then so they have a huge painting process.
Yeah.
Over 7 coats of paint between primer, color, and then they do 2 thick coats of the clear coat.
Wow.
You know, rather than just a single clear coat. They have over 100 pounds of paint on the car, not British dollars, American pounds, as in.
Wow.
Wait.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's probably costs more than 100 pounds dollar wise.
Yeah.
But over 100 pounds of paint
on a car.
On the car.
Wow.
Yep. So the other thing that they're known for is the pinstripes.
Okay.
So they have these stripes down the side. You can get it however you want. You can order any kind of custom design or whatever that you want. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. That's kind of cool. And then I found out there's one guy for every single Rolls Royce that's ever made. Mm-hmm. There's one guy. He is the coach liner is what it's called for Rolls Royce. And super interesting story. His name is Mark Court, and he was an old English sign painter before getting brought on by BMW Design, like discovered him. BMW owns Rolls Royce. And
I didn't know that.
They brought him in. They showed him the process. This is all the way back to 2003. He's been doing it ever since, painted every single Rolls Royce since. And they brought him in, and they're like, do you think you can do this? And his quote was... sorry, I have a couple of quotes from him, but his quote was when they brought him in and asked him, he's like, well, as a cocky Englishman, I said, of course I can do that. And he's been the only coach liner for Rolls Royce ever since.
Wow.
So there's a couple of cool things about that. It's all by hand, so there's no machines, no nothing. It's really like old school still.
Wow.
They use
That's unreal.
He uses a squirrel hair brush. Squirrel hair brush.
Most English thing I've ever heard.
That's nuts.
Can you? I just picture how he came up with that. He was just like, "Oh, I forgot me paintbrushes." I don't know what accent that is.
Yeah,
forgot me paintbrushes at home, and then he just grabs a dead squirrel on the road, right? Pulls the hairs out, tapes them to his pencil, and he's like, "Wow, this paint's a pretty good line."
That's
so
awesome.
Supposedly it's the finest hair paintbrush you can make. It leaves no paint, like no brush marks, and that's really, really important because after this 100-pound 7+ layer paint process on a Rolls Royce, the paint that they use for the pinstripe, which is on top of all of that, is permanent. As soon as it goes on, it bonds to the paint.
Oh,
no
wow.
So
pressure.
if he messes up,
Zero pressure.
if he messes up, you have to, and you know it's Rolls Royce too, so they're not going to spot correct it. They're going to strip the whole thing.
Wow.
Redo the entire car.
How do you strip 100 pounds of paint?
Right? Right? It'd probably have to be, and by that time, the car is completely assembled. This is the last thing that happens to the car before it leaves the factory, is a Mark comes in and paints it.
No pressure.
So, tons of pressure. And there's only a handful of people in the world who could do this with this precision because it's over 20 feet that he has to paint this perfect line by hand.
That's
because those cars, are so long.
Yeah, they're huge.
That's super cool.
It's a permanent process. As I was doing some research on this, I saw one. I think it was a comment on one of their YouTube videos. Someone said there must be a discount bin full of Rolls Royces with slight imperfections.
I was just thinking that.
Throw it away. It's not quite right. So really, really cool.
Wow.
And then he said about his process is he hates taking time off because he feels like he gets out of flow. He's like, weekends are enough. He's like, I hate vacations. I hate doing anything besides doing this, because he said, I just switch my brain off. I go into a different world. And my favorite quote from Mark, he said, I don't make mistakes. I work for Rolls Royce. Just like, wow. Just super, super cool.